You're watching UATV News. My name is Inna Kosinska. Good evening. Another trip by Volodymyr Zelensky to the United States is planned. This was announced by Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba. According to him, the president can visit the UN General Assembly, but there is no final decision yet, because he can also join the event online. Following the previous visit of Volodymyr Zelensky, Dmytro Kuleba called the United States a powerful partner of Ukraine and announced further cooperation between the countries in the energy, economic, defense and legal sectors.
Можливість здійснення такого візиту зараз опрацьовується.
The possibility of such a visit is currently being considered, but no final decisions have been made yet, as the format of participation in the General Assembly provides for the opportunity of speaking online as well. It is important for the President of Ukraine that each of his visits is meaningful and productive. So we will decide whether this visit will be physical to the General Assembly itself or an online visit.
Ukraine is preparing new sanctions against Russia, this time against everyone involved in the construction of the Kerch Bridge connecting the occupied Crimea with Russia. The Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine approved a list of 30 and submitted it to the National Security and Defense Council. It includes 24 legal entities and 6 individuals. They won't be able to dispose of any property located on the territory of Ukraine. Besides, they'll be prohibited from participating in the privatization and lease of state property. Earlier, President Volodymyr Zelensky said that sanctions against certain people and companies involved in the occupation of Crimea or the armed aggression of the Russian Federation in Donbas are the most effective.
Україна повинна вводити санкції там, де вони мають реальний вплив.
Ukraine should impose sanctions wherever they have a real impact and appeal to countries that affect this or that business, the real estate of the people, on their accounts abroad with their sanctions. There are states like the US, Germany, France, Great Britain, which can, with their sanctions, really act against certain officials of the Russian Federation, or the so-called officials of the Crimea, who also have something somewhere abroad. We are working with those states so that they introduce sanctions, effective sanctions.
After temporarily uncontrolled separate areas, Donetsk and Luhansk regions return under Kyiv's control, Ukraine is not going to recognize passports Russia issued to local residents there. Ukraine's Vice Prime Minister Alexei Reznikov says that Kyiv considers such people hostages of the situation, since the occupation authorities are forcing locals, especially public sector workers, to accept Russian citizenship. At the same time, the presence of these passports will not hinder the return of the temporarily uncontrolled territories.
It can be worse than it was in 2014. They started issuing passports so that later they could talk about the so-called Russian world and use it as an excuse to protect their citizens. The fact is that it has already happened. 100,000 passports or 500,000, it doesn't matter now.
Residents of Donetsk and Luhansk regions, temporarily uncontrolled by Ukraine, are forced to participate in elections to the State Duma of Russian Federation. Otherwise, they are threatened with fines and dismissals. Parliamentary Commissioner for Human Rights Lyudmila Denisova told our channel about this. The occupation authorities are exerting pressure only on those who have received a Russian passport. According to Denisova, in some districts of Donetsk and Luhansk regions, hundreds of information centers have been operating for about a month, and at workplaces, public sector employees are forced to report on registration for participation in elections. Since August, 396 information centers have been opened, which provide explanations to citizens of Ukraine who now have passports of the Russian Federation. How will they vote? 600,000 passports were issued to citizens of Ukraine who live in the occupied territories of separate districts of Donetsk and Luhansk regions. Those are, first of all, teachers, medical workers, people who work in public offices. They took those passports because they were left no choice. Refat Chubarov, chairman of the majorists of the Crimean Tatar people, called on Western countries to refuse dialogue and meetings with Russian President Vladimir Putin. He wrote about this in his Facebook. Besides, due to the illegal arrests in the occupied Crimea, he also suggested to urgently halt interstate consultations within the frameworks of the Crimean platform.
Russia threatened all participants of the Crimea platform and started from intimidating the Crimean Tatars, since the Crimean Tatar people in Crimea lives under Russian occupation. Nariman Jelalov was a participant of the Crimea platform, and accordingly, in my letter, I, being the chairman of the Majlis of the Crimean Tatar people, urged President of Ukraine Ukraine and other presidents and heads of state participating in the Crimea platform to treat everything happening in Crimea as a test of strength and determination of the Crimea platform participants in following principles foreseen by the Crimea Declaration.
To remind, on September 3rd and 4th, 5 Crimean Tatars were arrested in the occupied Crimea after illegal searches. Among them is first deputy head of the Majlis of the Crimean Tatar people, Nariman Julalov. They face up to 15 years in prison. In addition, on the night of September 8, member of the Majlis of the Crimean Tatar people of the Simferopol region, Eldar Menseidov, was also taken from home. Later, he was released after interrogation. A new attack by Russian propagandists. This time, Ukraine is not the only target, media experts say. Afghanistan, the Crimean Platform, Summit, and everyone who participated in it got under informational shelling. My colleagues will tell you more about the evolution of Kremlin's methods of manipulation and how not to become a victim of propaganda.
The Kremlin's propaganda methods have been changing with the development of technologies, experts say. If earlier television was the main source of disinformation, currently fakes are more and more often published in social media and Telegram channels. Allegedly pro-Kremlin media that officially work in Ukraine are the most dangerous, hitting a sore spot.
Тут Кремль робить те, що він робить у багатьох інших випадках.
Here the Kremlin does what it does in many other cases. It usually finds a problem point, a potential line of social tension, and presses on it in order to destabilize the situation from the inside. We have all heard a lot of information discrediting the Western vaccines and promoting the Russian-made Sputnik V. These were interconnected things because as soon as we hear that some Western vaccine is bad, conditional speaking, the next sentence is likely to be, but the Russian vaccine is really good.
Another favorite topic of Russian propagandists is the warfare in Donbas. The aforementioned media usually deny Kremlin's involvement in it and traditionally blame Ukraine for everything. They do it in order to discredit Ukraine on the international level, experts say, but all the efforts of the Russian Federation are in vain.
Успіх України з формування
Ukraine has achieved success in forming an international solidarity network, and the US is a key outpost and a leader in this issue of support of Ukraine, as well as NATO and the European Union. Also, the countries that supported our Crimea platform made a great effort while Russia attempted to disrupt this initiative.
The Ukrainian authorities should not debunk every propaganda fake, experts note, as instead of one lie, they immediately produce another. It is much more effective to teach Ukrainians to recognize and not trust manipulations and dubious sources of information.
Для того, щоб вибудувати стійкість,
In order to build resilience, it is necessary to provide people with access to knowledge about this world. Yesterday there were lies about the boy crucified, bloodthirsty Banderits. Today there are lies about COVID and pandemic in general. What will they lie to us about tomorrow? We do not know, but the manipulator knows. One doesn't have to chase the manipulator, one needs to build resilience. That means one should help people develop correct media consumption skills.
Ukraine confronts Russia in the information field. The State Service of Special Communication and Information Protection of Ukraine sets up towers to launch a digital broadcasting network along the contact line. Viewers will get access up to 12 Ukrainian TV channels and radio stations there. More than 2.5 million people will be able to watch and listen to them in more than 150 settlements. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Larissa Zubenko, UATV News.
Affordable 7% mortgage. During the first 6 months of this program's work, Ukrainians took out loans for more than $24 million to buy housing. That was stated by Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal. At present, in order to expand lending opportunities, the Cabinet of Ministers voted to merge the state mortgage institution with the Ukrainian financial housing company. The first agreements within the Affordable Mortgage 7% program were signed in March. Banks provide loans for an apartment or house for up to 20 years. The first minimum installment is 15%.
Після завершення об'єднання ми готуємо випуск державних облігацій на суму.
After the merger, we are preparing to issue government bonds worth about $7.5 billion to make mortgage programs available for as many Ukrainians as possible. All these products will help Ukrainian families to finally be able to buy their own homes with the help of affordable mortgages, like the developed countries do.
Cryptocurrencies or digital currencies have been legalized in Ukraine. 276 MPs voted for the bill on virtual assets in the second reading. The document allows buying and selling of digital tokens officially, and owners of such assets will be protected by law. Our correspondent will tell you more.
$37 million. Such is the daily turnover of virtual assets in Ukraine. This is stated by the Minister of Digital Transformation. Moreover, this market was in shadows. After all, cryptocurrencies simply did not exist for Ukrainian legislation. The law protects the ownership of such a virtual asset and enables companies to provide services related to storage, exchange, and sale of any cryptocurrency.
If there is a phenomenon, it should be recognized, it must be given the opportunity to work with, and of course it should be taxed. Cryptocurrencies will be allowed to circulate on the territory of Ukraine. They will be freely sold, freely bought, and those who can carry out operations with cryptocurrency will not be limited in this activity in any way.
According to experts, this new niche can attract investments to Ukraine related to blockchain technologies, which ensure the operation of the whole cryptocurrency market.
The crypto market is based on computing, from which the cryptocurrencies are formed. Calculations are carried out on computer facilities and consume electricity. In fact, all this is going to be legalized. The level of education in Ukraine is very high. There are many IT specialists and people are very entrepreneurial. Therefore, I think that the Ukrainian crypto market can potentially lead the world.
At present, leaders of the crypto market, Hong Kong and Singapore, are effectively developing this area in Japan. However, not all Ukrainian MPs agree that the adoption of the law will instantly make Ukraine a wealthy crypto country.
This bill is more about PR than reality. Let's be honest, cryptocurrency will develop when enough people know what it is. In fact, one should not place high hopes. There won't be lots of payments. It seems to me that 2-3 years are needed. But still, it gives us a great image of a leading country.
In order for the cryptocurrency market in Ukraine to fully work, it will be necessary to adopt several other regulatory bills. They are said to be developed during the current parliamentary session. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Yulia Krychkova, UATV News.
Life without plastic. For Europeans, tableware made of starch or wooden forks have become a commonplace. Ukraine is just preparing to give up environmentally harmful cellophane bags, plastic utensils and packaging. While our polar explorers in Antarctica are already turning plastic waste into souvenirs. My colleagues will tell you more.
Plastic tubes, plates, cutlery, skewers and dishes to be replaced with tableware made of cornstarch and wood. The straws for drinks will be made of paper, while the plates will be made from bran or starch. Business and industries will be given a year to adapt to innovations. When this period is over, manufacturers and distributors of prohibited products will be fined. The sum will vary from $660 to $1,900 and for repeated violation, from $3,100 to $6,300.
This is plastic granules. Simple, convenient, not expensive. And here's an alternative. Granules of corn starch containing certain chemicals. But the difference is that products from such raw materials are compost products. It means that they decompose. Also, this raw material could be used to produce the same stuff made of plastic, even without changing technology. So there will not be big problems without reconfiguration of production.
Wet wipes, personal care products, diapers and other produce containing plastic but which cannot yet be restricted will be labeled. This will be a reminder of their harm to the environment. Meanwhile, Ukrainian polar explorers found an original way of dealing with plastic at the Vernadsky research base. They shred waste and make souvenirs from it.
Here we have a plastic crusher. It operates from 380 volts. Here are the pieces of plastic. We have cut a plastic canister and now we are going to crush it.
Пластикову каністру ми будемо її зараз дробити.
Antarctica is one of big nature reserve. One cannot simply litter there. Everything that people bring there should be taken away with them. Garbage removal is very expensive. If sorted, it is cheaper, but still expensive.
Now, polar explorers are waiting for the tourists to present them with unusual souvenirs from the Vernadsky research base. Reported by Vadim Kramer and Yulia Bardish, UATV News.
To report about a forest fire, illegal logging or poaching promptly, all this can now be done in a few clicks through the Forestry Telegram bot. It was presented by the Ministry of Ecology and the State Agency for Forest Resources. The chatbot will help officials respond more quickly to requests from Ukrainians and provide them with access to information they need. Users can share photos, mark geolocations and attach documents in the chatbot. And if the application is not processed on time, it is automatically redirected to the higher level.
Telegram-бот – це інструмент комунікації, перш за все.
The Telegram bot is a communication tool which was developed by our team in the environment of the messenger. This tool of interaction communication is designed on the one hand to simplify, hasten, and make communication between the public government agency and its regional offices more efficient, and on the other hand to become a tool through which we will quickly receive information about what is happening in our forests.
That's all for this hour. More updates on our official website, YouTube, Twitter and Facebook pages. Thank you for watching UATV channel. Goodbye.